So I uploaded a short of Jesse Lee Peterson talking about homeless people, and it drove some folks crazy. And here is that short.
Since though, I just think that the whites need to start speaking up and say no to the blacks. It's like with the homeless people on the streets and thing. One speaking of the homeless people, one nice thing about all this rain we've been getting in LA, it kind of washing the homeless people away. The rain washing the homeless people out and cleaning it up a little bit. That's kind of nice. Thank God for the rain.
A lot of these people are commenting, and they don't seem to realize that there is a homeless epidemic. I see people saying how insensitive it is and how Jesus would have taken care of the homeless, but the homeless from 2,000 years ago, it's completely different from the homeless that we have in 2023. And if you don't believe me, I recently came across two videos that will probably shed some light on that situation. The first clip I stumbled upon, it's Ben Shapiro interviewing Anna Kasparian from the Young Turks. And she's a leftist, a pretty well-known leftist, and she had a story about this, and I'm going to play the clip in full because I don't want any missing context from what she's saying.
The thing that drove me out of California is I think one of the things that you've been picking up on and getting a lot of flack from your own side for picking up on, and that is that LA has just become a trash heap. I mean, it's been governed awfully. Forget about who's governing it.
Right.
The policies that have been used to govern it are just terrible. You have an increase in crime. Homelessness has taken over the streets. And when I was living there, I mean, I've pretty famously talked about this. And it was the kind of place where I had a very nice house in a pretty decent neighborhood, and we had a gate in the front. And we would open the gate, and there would be a homeless person face down in the gutter, Edgar Allan Poe style, or there would be a guy outside the house shooting heroin into his foot. And I've got like a 5-year-old. And this sort of stuff has become incredibly common in LA. You noticed it, and you've been getting all sorts of flack for it.
Right, because when there are problems in society, we need solutions. And you can't find solutions unless you acknowledge what the problem is and then properly diagnose it. So my biggest issue right now, at least with the way the left has handled the discussion on homelessness in places like Los Angeles, is there's this housing first mentality where, oh, everything would be fine as long as we put everyone in housing. And by the way, let me just note, housing is an important component to this. There is a housing crisis. There's a lack of inventory. I think we all know that. We do need to build more housing. But at the same time, treating the homeless population as if it's a monolith has been a complete failure. There is a huge mental health crisis happening in this country. So people with severe mental health issues are just left to die on the streets. And in some cases, because they are experiencing an episode, they could carry out some sort of act of violence and assault someone. And it's a dangerous situation for everyone, okay? The people who are just trying to go about their day and the person who is left on the streets battling with this untreated mental health issue. There are people who are obviously struggling with drug addiction. And you look at the number of overdose deaths, and it has skyrocketed. The approach that we have implemented is clearly not working. More people are dying. And I get so much flack for saying this. I want an actual solution. It is insanely cruel to watch people die on our streets and then give yourself a pat on the back because you think you did something compassionate. That is not compassionate. There's this insanity right now where, let's say we're talking about the same person struggling with a severe mental health issue. They're living on the streets, asking them if they are willing to take the housing that's offered to them. But someone who has a severe mental health issue, I know the left would argue if they engaged in some sort of sexual act with someone, the person who engaged in that act with that person with the mental health issue took advantage because that person with a severe mental health issue does not have the ability to consent. But somehow we're just going to take their word at face value when it comes to housing. No, we need to get that person help. They need help. And I don't care how vicious people think I am for saying that. It's just common sense. It really is. And denying that the problem exists is the other part of this, right? Denying that there was definitely an increase in crime in big cities drives me crazy. I was assaulted in my own neighborhood. I shared the story. I was shocked at the kind of reaction I got from people who I typically agree with politically. Took my dog out for a walk. Two guys who were clearly on something. They appeared to be homeless, were walking by me or behind me as I was bending over to pick up my dog's mess. One of the guys grabbed me by the hips and started thrusting at me with an erection. And I know that I wasn't raped. I get it. But at the same time,
That's not the standard.
Something like that for a woman who does not have the ability to defend herself in that moment. I had no weapon, no nothing. I have to think about that at least twice a day when I take my dog out for a walk. It is traumatizing. Yes, I've gone to therapy about it. I'm working through it.
That's not your personal problem.
But
that's because you were assaulted. Yes.
What's making it worse, though, is that I'm the bad guy for sharing this story and saying, hey, we can't just let this kind of stuff happen. We need to find real solutions for it.
Now, to me, everything she said makes total and complete sense. But what do I know? I'm just a man of logic and common sense. The second clip I came across, it's actually from Fleckus Talks, and I love this guy. He's just so freaking funny. And in this clip, you're going to see basically how the homeless are enabled and how the problem is just never ending.
Portland Street Response, $4 million a year, and here's how they're helping the community. In Northwest Portland this week, next to Maclay Park, a street addict embedded himself like a tick in an alcove underneath 3 stories of residences in a condominium community. His daily existence was smoking fentanyl, defecating, leaving it there, and pulling out his dick and staring through the window at a woman across the way who happens to be a rape survivor. After several calls to non-emergency, they finally sent out the Portland Street Response. Dun, 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 dun. Residents were mortified when they heard Portland Street Response ask the man if he would like hot coffee or crackers. She also offered him a cigarette, reached into her fanny pack, and put it in his mouth. She told the exacerbated neighbors that they just needed to give him space. With that, she wished him a good day.
So you have a person who's shitting under your house, smoking heroin, smoking fentanyl, pulls their dick out, they're shitting, they're making people uncomfortable. Then you call the street response team, and they come and they give him a coffee and a cigarette.
They help him out. They treat him better than you.
That's how you get treated at the Admiral Club in the American Airlines terminal.
So true. In 1971.
Oh, you want a cigarette and a coffee? Take a seat. Your flight will leave soon.
Yeah.
You call the people. They gave him stuff.
Yeah.
And told everyone else to calm down.
You have to stop enabling these people and rewarding bad behavior. If you do this, then you're part of the problem. This will never end.
Amazing. Mama running the country now. Why do you think that we have so many homeless people? And Mama want to take care of them in the same way Mama want to take care of Nevada. We have homeless people because the women are running our country. And they're homeless, and then the women want to take care of them. We're going to give you free shelters. We're going to give you drugs. We're going to make you feel good. That's why we have so many homeless people. The women are running it. In the good old days, we didn't have this because men ran it. We didn't have no homeless people. And if we saw a homeless person somewhere, we would call them a bomb. Look at that bomb.
Smash, smash, smash.